Well, the saga of my next guest is really not all that unusual for veterans of the armed forces that return, leave the service, and try and recapture their life. But the way that my guest, Jeff Sarver, found the way to get his life back and to enjoy life is where he may part company from most folks. We're talking about his romance and the way that he has adopted and embraced auto racing, the short track version, to provide him with the juice that he once enjoyed while protecting our country. And he joins us now. So, Jeff, it was an interesting story as I heard about it, that after what, more than a dozen years in the armed services, you're mustered out, you retire, and you kind of were, like a lot of your peers, a little bit at a loss for where you could maybe find some peace of mind when you were finally back home. Tell me a little bit about the saga that led you to the Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway.
Well, I was stationed here for 5 years at Fort McCoy, and we used to go to the races, and I thought it'd be pretty fun. So when I came back here to retire, I bought my house when I was in Afghanistan, came back, and one of the guys that was working as a contractor, he said he's going to get a race car and race. And he was like, you should get one too. I was like, I heard they're buddy pits. And so we went and got race cars, and then didn't have a clue about it. I thought you just get in and go, which is not even close to even remotely to understanding the dynamics behind a race car. And so I met some really great guys at the track, and I still feel lost even to this day. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Go from 20 years in the Army of, Uncle Sam telling you where to, when to eat, when to go run, when to go to the bathroom, when you go to sleep, to I'm a retired civilian now and still lost.
And yet you're gaining on it. From what I've heard, after several part-time years, you're starting to build your racecraft to the point where you've decided now that it becomes a family affair as you've expanded your operation to include your son and also your daughter. And it's so typical of what we see in Advanced Auto Parts NASCAR Weekly Racing Series action. And that's an opportunity on a Friday, Saturday, or a Sunday night for an entire family to come together with one goal in mind. How important is it to you and your family?
We enjoy it. It gives us a little bit of common ground, especially, nowadays. I mean, to be honest, it seems like NASCAR, if you don't have any money, or even as a driver, if you don't have money, you're not going to be able to jump in a car and go. Seems to me like a lot of wasted talent. You'd have some guy who could drive the wheels off a car, but he can't even be looked at because he doesn't have a rich family or big giant bankroll behind him. But my two kids, my 12 and 14-year-old one, they're going to be in a late model by the end of the season, at least doing hot laps and getting some seat time.
Where do you think you still have a lot to learn when it comes to strapping yourself in the cockpit of that late model?
I learn every time I get in it.
Yeah.
Every time. Like when I was in the Army doing EOD or bomb disposal, if it was the day you quit learning is the day you need to hang it up because you're going to get hurt. Even like today, I bought a whole new shock package, and that's a whole nother book I got to get to catching up on.
You talk about your time as part of a bomb disposal crew in Afghanistan. There was a moment in time where a journalist came over and was embedded with your group for about 35 days. And the end result was what?
A Hollywood cheesy movie and a Playboy article.
It won an Oscar, won several Oscars. You say it's cheesy, way too Hollywood for actually what you guys had to endure and go through every day.
Oh yeah, you never go out by yourself. You can't. You'd be an idiot if you wanted to sneak outside the wire to go after DVDs or whatever that guy was doing. I mean, it kind of gave a glimpse to not only just EOD, but the whole Army kind of gave you, the biggest thing was the most important part, the most accurate part is when he goes into the grocery store and looks at all the food. You go away for 6 months living in Iraq or Afghanistan or a year, you get back and everything's completely different. And, little things like that kill you. But that movie actually showed the depth of the camaraderie and brotherhood. And I found that kind of in a roundabout way here racing.
Yeah, what are the similarities? You talk about camaraderie. I mean, one of the things, the nature of the beast, Jeff, is that you're supposed to go out there and be selfish and beat and bang and root and gouge on your fellow competitors, and yet you, the newbie that you were, turned to them for advice on how to, do tire stagger. I'm sure you're going to turn to them about this new shock package, and even when you're not racing, it seems as if you enjoy migrating back to the racing community. Why?
Some of the guys in tractors, a couple that are probably one of my closest friends now, they been around me long enough. They picked up my mannerisms from the Army, and they kind of show some of that too. They poke at me pretty hard and I poke back, and as far as selfish on the track, remember there's about 18 or 20 other guys that could poke you and send you through the grass or up into the concrete. So you have to play nice, try to be nice.
I found a quote from you in an article as I prepared for our visit, and you said, quote, "With other drivers, they're kind of thick-headed and have big egos, but they all have a human side where they remember how they felt when they started off." I thought that was pretty damn perceptive on your part, that you already and immediately figured out that all of that bravado and all of that gusto that they want to project, deep down inside, they're no different than Jeff Sarver.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I mean, we all, it's a show. It's put on the show, in my opinion, for the next generation of kids, because the kids, the ones that are watching us now, are the ones who are going to be doing it when I'm walking with a stroller or a walker or in a hover round. So you got to be, it's the kids is the big important part of it. And you see a lot of these big, tough, guys with the big giant egos turn around and be the nicest guy to a little 6-year-old or 5-year-old. I mean, there's guys here that, when they win a feature or whatever, they give their trophies away to little kids. And just the expression on his little kid's face is worth, spending thousands upon thousands of dollars on a race car to go in circles.
Jeff, it's never ceased to amaze me, the commitment that it takes for you to give up your personal freedoms to go defend our freedoms. And yet that's what you did. How did it change you as a human being?
Well, I got to see that not everybody in the world likes this country. I got to see some pretty devastating stuff. See some stuff that no other person should be told about or described, because that's something that, we'll have to live with the rest of our life, that image. But I would say it humbled me. I mean, you think, like downtown, you think these little kids and these families have it really, really rough. But when they're sitting there begging on the side of the road for a bottle of water, or they're begging for an MRE to eat, it's pretty humbling, because you look back in your truck and you just have a cooler full of ice water and a big box of MREs. You kind of take it for granted until you're put in those situations where you can see how, the rest of the world goes, and it humbles you.
Listen, it's a real pleasure. In fact, it's an honor for me to visit with you and to learn a little bit about your story. I don't think it's that far down the road that once you get that shock package on that car, that you might be tasting a checkered flag or two. Most importantly, honestly, thank you and your peers for your service, because, as I said, without you, we wouldn't enjoy the freedoms and be able to go to places like the Crosse Fairgrounds Speedway. Good luck.
Thanks, sir.
I appreciate it, my friend. I did a bunch of stuff went down range. I was at Joint Base Balad. I was in Kabul, Turkey. We did 17 straight days, and I don't know how you guys did it, but you're my heroes, believe me. So, you're breaking up.
You just learn to sleep when you just learn to sleep when and where you can.
Yeah, isn't that the truth? All right, I appreciate it. You take care. I'll email you when I get it finally edited, and where you can pick up a link and listen to it.
Okay, thanks, sir.
Go get them. Thank you.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.